This is going to be a two-part. We're going to do integers. We're going to do rules for adding, and then rules for subtracting, and then we'll do a separate video for fractions and decimals for integers. So, first of all, the rules for adding. Rules for adding integers. If you have the same signs, you add and keep the sign. That's pretty straightforward. So here we can see very clearly that we have a -4 plus a -8. That's the same sign. So my sum is going to be a negative answer. And then 4 plus 8 is 12. And that's just how you, that's same sign. So you have to look, are my signs the same? Yes. So when you're doing more than two add-ends, then you just do the same thing. So negative, negative, and negative. So I know my answer is a negative number. So then 10 and 4 is 14, and 9 is 23. Pretty straightforward there. And if you're, normal addition that you've been doing, if we had just 4 plus 8, that's just a positive 12, right? Same kind of things that you've been doing since you learned how to add add numbers. So then our second rule is if you have different signs, you subtract the values and you keep the sign of the largest absolute value. Seems kind of wordy, but that's the shortest way you can say it. So positive 4 plus -8. So my signs are different. So I'm going to subtract the two values. So 8 minus 4 is going to give me 4. Now, the absolute value of -8 is 8. Absolute value of 4 is 4. So this is the largest value, and this is the sign of the largest value. So my sum is a -4. That's really all there is to this. So then, same kind of problem, but so here's a negative and here's a positive, right? So then absolute value of 8 is 8, absolute value of 4 is 4, so subtract them, you end up with 4, but because this 8 is the largest absolute value, and it's positive, my answer is a positive 4. That's pretty straightforward, and you can have some other numbers here. Let me just take this and show you what happens if you have like three numbers, right? So if we have 8 plus -4 plus 12, right? So when I look here, I see that I have a positive 8 and a positive 12. So I can combine those into a positive 20, and then plus -4. Those are my different signs. So then I can see I have to subtract. So 20 minus 4 is 16. And then this is a positive 20. So my answer is going to be a positive 16. Again, pretty straightforward. So then if we look at...
Mr. Weber, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Should you put the positive sign in front of it?
No, you don't need to. Only put a sign. You don't have to put a positive sign in front of that because it's just automatically assumed it's positive. If it was negative, then there would be a negative sign in front of it, and it would tell you it's a negative. Plus, if you do a positive sign in front of it, it just looks like you're supposed to add the 12. So no, we don't generally do that. That's not a typical thing. So I was going to do, let's do a -8 plus 6 plus -2, right? Again, we have our negatives, so we combine our negatives, we get -10 plus 6. So then we subtract here, we end up with 4. 10 is my largest number, so that's a -4. That's pretty straightforward. So now, keeping in mind, this is the rules for adding integers. I'm going to write here the rule for subtracting integers. And this will bring to mind, rule for subtracting integers, will bring to mind, once you see it, the rule for dividing fractions. So rule number one, we never subtract integers. We never subtract integers. We add the opposite. Now, in typical mathematical language, that's probably not exactly correct. However, if we do a problem, we'll do -8 minus -4, right? So we never subtract, we add. So we're going to, I'm going to put out here in parentheses KCO. Keep, change, opposite. So we're going to keep the -8. We're going to change the subtraction to addition. And we're going to do the opposite of a -4, which is a +4. And then we apply the rules for adding. And that's this problem here. That's this rule here. Different signs. So we subtract our answer, or we subtract our values. We end up with 4. Here's the largest absolute value. That's an 8. And the sign of that 8 is a negative. So my answer is a -4. Let's just try a couple of more of those, right? And I'm going to leave this up so that we're not confused. So let's try 32 minus. Let's do -32 minus 27, right? So keep the 32 negative, change the subtraction to addition, and the opposite of 27 is a -27, and we put the parentheses around that 27 just to show that it's a it's a negative symbol. So what do I have here? I have same sign, so I know my answer is going to be a negative. So I add my two values together, and I end up with 59. So that's really basically the rules for adding and subtracting integers. I'm just going to do one last thing because I've had some questions about this. So I'm going to do some 3-digit subtraction, right? So let's do -9 minus 7 minus -3, right? So we can see clearly here that we have two subtraction symbols. So what we're going to do is we're going to deal with this problem first, right? So this is going to be a keep -9, change to addition, and then opposite is going to become a -7, right? So we've dealt now with this, and now we're going to deal with this. So this is a keep, this is a change to addition, so this is going to be a -7 plus, and this is an opposite. So we bring that down, that's a -3, so that's going to become a +3. So now my problem is this. -9 plus -7 plus 3. So I combine my two negatives. -16 plus 3 becomes -13. So it's a little bit tricky when you have two of these. And this little part right here is the key. Do your keep change opposite here. And then this new number or new value becomes your keep in the second problem. Let's try another one and see if we can remember that we're supposed to do that. So let's try something like a -57. Let's just do +57 minus -18 minus let's just do a plus here, plus -2. All right? So this is already an addition. I don't have to change that. But this is a subtraction, so I've got to deal with these two right here. So keep 57 plus the opposite of 18 is negative 18 is 18, and then plus negative 2. So I'm going to combine these first. 18 is going to be 75 plus negative 2. Those are different signs, so I subtract, I get 73, and my 75 is a positive number, so my answer is a positive 73. So that's some problems for adding and subtracting integers, and hopefully that helps. Thank you.